Boom. I think we're live. Hello, what's up, interwebs? Andy McCabe here. OP Almaraz there. Little special, little off schedule thing this morning. I made a video a couple weeks ago. OP called me and said, "Man, that really hit. Let's talk about it some more."
Mhm.
So I'm just going to get right into it. OP Almaraz, first off, and if you guys don't know who he is, runs a company called Allied Restoration and also Allied Disaster. What's the new name of the
Allied
company?
Disaster Defense.
Allied Disaster Defense out of LA. Also runs Restoration Mastery Boot Camp, which is a phenomenal educational and inspirational and everything else tool for leaders of our industry. He's got a new one coming up in March. We'll give you a second to talk about that in a bit, but we're going to jump right in.
Awesome.
My 2023 really hard year, and I made a video a couple weeks ago, like I said, saying, "Hey, restorers, I see you. I understand it. I see how hard it is." But OP, it really hits you hard, and you spoke a little bit before we went live about the mindset you are in. Let's bring people into that and tell us what you were going through this year.
You know what's crazy, Andy, is that I've never told anyone this.
Mm.
Like my directors, my closest people. Only my wife knew about this.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So it was pretty intense. But in when I listened to your video and you were saying, "Hey, restores, I see you." I thought that was very impactful. I don't know if it landed on anyone other than me, but the reality is that you know to me, that was something that I feel many restorers. And look, this translates into humanity, not necessarily
mm,
restorers only, but restorers are our world, and that's who I'll be speaking to. But as restorers, we struggle. And what I was sharing with you earlier is that months ago, uh, probably the middle of the year, uh, it was tough, and I was going through this process of my mind, like what's going on, what's happening with the revenue, what's happening with um, the consistency of work, what's going on with employees, um,
cash
and
flow, revenue.
all of that, right? And so, what's interesting is that many restorers have probably already dealt with this, and especially business owners that you get thoughtful and kind of go, "Hey, what can I do?"
Mm,
Um, and I'm the guy who's like, boom, snap out of it. Yes, here's the issue, and now let's navigate and make stuff happen. But at this time, I actually crawled into this belief that was going on. And when I
mm,
say crawled into, I mean like, holy smokes, I began to uh, believe and embrace and really believe it as major truth that things are bad, things are not going
mm.
good, things are going to get worse. And I got to tell you, I was in that space for a few days,
You
and
ever find that once you get into a space like that, you just make really poor decisions?
man, yes, yes, and um, you get really comfortable there.
Mm, mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Kind of,
I
kind of
began,
like commiserating. You get used
yes,
to being miserable and sad, and
yeah, just kind of going, you know, maybe this is the way it's going to be,
mm,
and the perpetual downward spiral is real, my friends. And I'm telling you because I felt it, and I was like, shit, man, what is going on? And I felt this pressure like I've never felt before. Uh, Invisible pressure,
mm,
invisible cloud is how I would describe it.
mm.
And look, and I'll tell you this: it wasn't until I started reading the Bible again I said, "Yo, I need to do something." And I just boom opened it up and I started reading, and I'm like, because I grew up in a Christian home. I don't know what other people's beliefs are, but for me, I'm like, this cannot be healthy. I need to be able to uh, change my mind frame. And look,
Mm.
for those of you that don't know, I did a TED talk on how to rewire your brain. and how to get out of these things, right?
And you
Um,
still found yourself there.
yes. And so that's why for me, I felt like, okay, when I heard you speak, I thought, okay, this is real. And if I felt it, I just imagine, other people have felt this. And I just wanted to come on and share like the things that we can do to snap out of these things, man.
Well, let's talk about the hard market real quick. You also mentioned before we were on live the in order to get coverage, people are being forced into policies that have $10,000 deductibles. High net worth folks that you work with, $50,000 deductibles, just so they can get coverage in a hard market where, especially where you're at, California, you got carriers dropping left and right. They're like, we're out. See ya.
Yeah.
We're not going to write any more business here. People are running scared. Florida, I don't know if I could afford to live in Florida
Mm.
just by the fact that insurance is so expensive there. People are paying more on the insurance on their house than they pay on their mortgage on their house in Florida. Um, so that you get a hard market getting insured. You get a hard market where I feel, from my perspective, I think the carriers have upped their game as far
What's that?
as the carriers have upped their game as
Oh, yeah.
far as reducing claim severity, denying claims, delaying claims, just playing really hardball. And of course, I'm a PA, so I see all the hardball cases. Um, but it's been really hard. I've had some of my clients just say, you know what, I'm not going to do insurance anymore. This is the
Mm.
industry that we all fell in love with, right?
Yeah.
And we got people saying, I'm out, I'm done. That tells me a lot about, well, how do we break out of that? How do we turn something like that around, OP?
Yeah. So I think it's helpful for everyone to realize that uh, the insurance companies have taken a major hit over the last few years, not only because of wildfires in the western United States, um, and all around the world, the wildfires, but disasters, man, disasters in general. You got Florida, you've got Australia, Canada. Like these carriers insure the world, right? And so it's not specific to your state.
Mm,
And so what they're having to do is realize that, you know here's how insurance companies make money. Okay, so you have the insurance company says, okay, Mr. Reinsurer, because they have insurance against the insurance. Hey, Mr. Reinsurer, how much are you going to charge? I'm going to charge 10 cents. Okay, cool.
mm,
Insurance company says, I'm going to charge 12 cents. Awesome. So that's one way they make money, is they make money on the spread. Okay, they make
mhm.
2 cents. Um, then they also take your premiums and then they invest it right in the market, and so they're able to make money there too
On the float. Yep.
on the float, right, on your money, just like banks do. And so what's happening is the reinsurance is way more expensive, and so what has been happening is like, holy smokes, I can't get my 10-cent deal anymore, and therefore, especially in California, I cannot uh, stay within the parameters of the admitted market where I have regulations. I can't afford it, so I'm out
Yeah.
because I can't make money.
Mm.
And so,
Well,
so
let's be real. Can't make enough money. They're not losing money.
yeah,
There
okay,
there
so
there's
right,
3
right,
there's I read somebody sent me an article it was a McKinsey report, that the P&C premiums, are about $3.2 trillion dollars. All right? They didn't have $3 trillion dollars in losses last year, so
yeah,
they're
I got
making
you, I
money,
got
but
you. Look at,
it's harder.
yes, it's harder. And look, I think that's the because look, Chubb posted a report last year where they're like the most profitable year or very profitable. And it's hard for someone like me to come out and go, oh, they're not making money. What I'm sharing is probably more accurately is the way you put it. They're not making enough money. Okay.
Mm,
And so that they're used to. And so what happens is the investors are like, hey, I'm out, dude. I'm not going to sit here and invest in the insurance company anymore like I used to. I'm out. I got other places I can go make more money. So the
mhm,
market's getting really shitty, really wobbly. And so Now, guys, this is going downhill, right? The pressure is going downhill, and we're the ones, right? The end users,
We're at the bottom,
we're at the bottom, man, right?
bottom of the hill, baby. It's
And so
rolling
you
down.
can see like the squeeze. And look, this is me, kind of using hyperbole on how things work, but I can
Mhm.
imagine that from the top down, it just keeps getting set down. Like, hey, you got to squeeze, you got to cost save, you got to do all these things, and we're the ones that are paying the price from the standpoint of, you got competitive bids that are coming in of people that are not qualified, people that
Mhm.
are uh, for their own purposes, their own reasons, you know, doing a low price because they're going to get more business in the future, or they're on a vendor program, and I've seen all of this,
And they
man.
don't have a choice. Yeah.
I've been in this game 26 years, and I see it more and more now than ever. And it's really interesting how that's all working. But the reality is, going back to your point, now because the market's so hard, the insurance brokers, the agents are saying, "Hey, Mr. Smith, look, I know you had a $5,000 deductible last year. Man, in order for me to get you insurance, number one, you're going to have to pay more. That's just the way that it is." And then I think
Yep.
people are realizing that more and more now. But on top of that, Mr. Smith, can I convince you to do a $25,000 deductible?
Mm.
Because if you do that, then you're going to get the insurance policy that you need. Mr. and Mrs. Smith are like, "Hey, look, I'm not paying 25K now. Let's do it." And so
Sign
now,
me up.
sign me up. Now, and this is something for restorers to realize. It's happening now, and it's going to happen more and more. How can you position yourself to profit, to stay in business, to make money, still when there is no insurance claim? Mr. and Mrs. Smith are going to be paying out of pocket. So,
Mhm.
one of the reasons I want to come on is I want to just share some ideas for restorers to just begin to think about different things, begin
Sure.
to realize that there's other opportunities out here, that can take place, even though the market is getting really kind of wonky.
Yeah. So, for those people that aren't quite awake yet, if you have a $25,000 deductible and your average insurance claim is $6,500, what happens to your average claim? It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, doesn't happen now. Mr. Smith is, he might call his agent and say, "Hey, man, I got this water damage. Can you send someone? I think I need to file a claim." And the agent might say, "Oh, what is it?" And he describes it as a bathroom overflow. He might say, "Look, Larry, you're probably better off not doing it because it's probably gonna be under your deductible. So call someone, or I might
Mm.
have someone, or whatever." Now the person
Right.
starts shopping. They start looking around for who can I get because I need to resolve this thing. The other thing I would say, if someone has a kitchen that's flooded out and the living room and it's impacted another bedroom, and they're like, "Oh my God, we woke up to this disaster," that sounds like it's going to be a substantial loss, right, to all of us.
Mhm.
And so they call their agent and say, "Here's what's going on." And the agent might say, "Look, man, it's probably close to your deductible.
Mm.
So, because the insurance market is so hard right now, Larry, you may not want to file a claim, even if it's $35,000. It's
Mm.
only $10,000 more out of your pocket, and it's not worth filing the claim because we don't know what the carrier is going to do to you next year, and you might
Mm.
pay more over the coming years, right?" And so this
Yep.
whole concept is happening. This is the reality of what's taking place, and I'm telling you because I went to a loss, high net worth. They had a $50,000 deductible, and they had $150,000 worth of damage,
Mm.
and they said, "I'm going to handle it myself." And I'm like, "Holy smokes, man!" And I know that for a lot of people, that's a different world that people live in.
That's a very different world.
But the reality is their premiums were likely so high, and they have estates probably in homes in multiple states, that one claim could impact them immensely. And so they made this financial decision to say, "We're going to handle it ourselves."
Mhm.
And that was a surprise to me, but more of a reality of what's taking place now in the market.
Yeah, they're just getting the homeowners getting squeezed. The restoration contractor, the work that we're used to getting, is just not there. It's a different type of work. The margins are different. How we approach the claim is different, and we need to adapt. We need to adapt in a hurry and find other ways to make money that are not necessarily tied directly to insurance claims. So you touched on this last week when you were on Restoration Rebel Roundtable. Um, you wanna do a couple examples of things that you've done or you would suggest restorers do to add revenue streams?
Yeah, you know what? Can I share my screen really quick, Andy? I think I
Do
want
it.
to I want to share something that I think hopefully can resonate with people.
Let's
Um,
do it.
Let me see here.
Show and tell.
All right, all right. Okay.
It almost worked when we tried this pre-live. So just try to
Yeah.
get here.
Oh, there we go. Cool. All right. So let me just play this. Just give me a thumbs up, Andy, if you can hear the audio when it plays.
Okay.
Direct subordinates, one of my guys, major problems, some issue that was going
Oh, it's kind of cutting out a little bit.
on. And he'd say, boss, we got that. And finally one day he was telling me about some issue that he was having, some problem. And he said, I already know what you would. He said, that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say, good. And I said, well, yeah, when things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get funded. Didn't get the job you wanted. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Got tapped out? Good. Got beat? Good. Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out. Don't get startled. Don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well, then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
Boom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah,
I felt like
that.
man, yeah.
Anytime when there's friction, when there's a down market, when things are hard, that is an opportunity. And we gotta see it as an opportunity because there are people that will give up. There are a lot of people that have given up. And that just means there is more opportunity there. We just got to find it.
Absolutely. Yes. And this is the discovery place. This is like the digging for gold. This is like this is the work, man, that I think is really underestimated, not really sexy, but really important to us as business owners to say, okay, things are happening, things are twisting, not going as I predicted. That's okay. This is good. And it's good only because if we don't flip the script, okay, we'll go down this spiral, man. But if we flip the script to say, hey, this is good, and your mind starts to say, okay, how is it good? Boom, now we have some positive energy, some real discovery that we can actually jump into and say, okay, how is this good? How is this good? And dive into that. And dive into it, even with collaboratively with your peers, with your people, and say, how can we flip this? How is this good? And so for me, going back to your question, man, for me, God is good, man, because when to answer your question with regards to the things that we're doing different, it was 2020, the end of 2020, when brokers were calling us, and these are my clients, saying, "Hey, OP, do you do this home hardening stuff?" And I was like, I don't even know what that is. Okay, love you, but I don't know. And so, and then we're talking about wildfire. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm like, I want wildfires to happen, right? To me, I'm like, no, I don't want to prevent damage. I want, and this is like silly, whatever thinking. And then I got evacuated that same year, towards the end of the year, and I voluntarily evacuated because I saw the hillside glowing. I'm like, you know what, man? I've been through this enough times and I've seen the other side of it. We're out of here.
I'm
And so
out.
I take my family, we go. And the next morning, man, like when I came downstairs into the lobby, it was jam packed with people. They were freaked out. And like I shared before, like these people were like panicking, and they're trying to get a room, but they're sold out. They're calling other hotels. Family members are calling each other saying, "Hey, do you know if my house survived?" It's chaos, man. And that's when I knew, okay, this is what my clients have experienced when I've gone to their home, whether it's partially fire damage or smoke damage or complete burn down. They've all been through this. This is the prequel to the loss, you know? I thought, damn, this sucks. And it's full of a ton of uncertainty, a ton. And that's when I connected the dots with the brokers, and they're saying, hey, can you help? I thought, okay, let me dive in. So I dove into the research. I dove into figuring out how the heck does this stuff work. And so that's why we started Allied Disaster Defense. And really, that's how we.
So the hardening is another way to get coverage, right? If you do
Yes,
these things, I can get you coverage, says the agent.
says the
If
agent.
you put a new roof on, I can get you coverage, and that is the reality. Uh, there's a new roof. Someone put a new roof on a house next door over Christmas. Actually, they're still there this morning when I saw them. And the roof didn't look that bad to start out with. My guess is she's trying to get reinsurance. She's trying to get an insurance policy, and
Interesting.
the underwriter said, "Yeah, your roof looks kind of old. We can't insure it." I know that's a reality in a lot of different markets, especially Florida. If you don't have a new roof on within the last 5 years, you're not going to get insurance for that house.
Wow.
Um, but guess what? Sounds like an opportunity to me. There's
Absolutely.
there's people that need roofs so they can get insured. Well,
Man,
yeah, maybe you're a
yes.
roofer now.
And here's the cool thing. We often talk about adding value to our customer. How can we add more value to our customer? And I want to just remind people that if you do get work from a plumber, the question is, how can you add more value to the plumber?
Mm,
If you get work from an agent, the question is, how can you provide more value to the agent? And then the question is, if it's an agent, like what does the agent really care about? Well, the agent is a self-employed person typically, and they want to make money, right? They want to make revenue. And if
they need
you
to sell
position,
insurance policies. Yeah.
yes, right? And if they're being stuck with not being able to sell insurance policies, can you provide an option? Can you find the opportunity in that to be the one that provides the value to them to help them
Mm,
with their business? And the answer is absolutely yes. And so it's a matter of just kind of rewiring the thinking. These dark times create some really, really good opportunities for us to navigate if you're willing to. If you're willing
mhm.
to do that kind of thinking, and you're willing to set yourself up and you're willing to do that kind of work and learn and study and discover.
Operative word, work. This doesn't happen automatically. This is not something you're gonna just gonna wake up one morning and,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm gonna be better today." No, you have to work at that. You have to be intentional about that. And let's talk about restoration mastery
Yep.
because I think it was 3 or 4 years ago now, you invited me down to LA. I took part in this restoration mastery course, over the course of 2 days. You guys took, a group of restorers that really wanted to take their game to the next level, really wanted to change their mindset, and built the environment for that, held that space for those restorers and gave us some really good tools. I actually got the notebook right over here on the shelf still. I still go through it from time to time, looking through my goals, looking through the different things. Tell us about what is restoration mastery and what your vision. Uh, I know it probably has changed since you started it,
Yeah.
but what is your vision for restoration mastery now? And I know you've got to just so everyone knows, there's a course coming up in
In March.
March. You said
Yeah, we're going to do a boot camp in
so.
March. We haven't
We'll get
announced
a
it.
link up to it, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We haven't confirmed a date yet, but we're close. So for those of you interested, love to have you in our facility. But what's interesting is that Restoration Mastery was born from the standpoint of, um, you know, I started the business in 2008, but before then, I got into working with Service Master in 1994. And so when I lost my brother Victor in 2010, who was my business partner, um, I went through some crazy times trying to just recoup, and it was that fight uphill that I thought, man, more people need to understand that there are
Mhm.
ways to make this happen. And so that's how I kind of got into, like, what more people need to know about, even if you're going through something tragic or something that is tough, there are ways to get out of it. And
Mm.
so that's how Restoration Mastery was born. And we started talking about, like, the importance of different things of culture, which I know that word's been overused now, but the reality is that that's tough, man, to build, an environment where there's vulnerability and courage and trust. It's not
Mm.
easy, man. And so we talk about those tools, and we talk about marketing, we talk about operations, all the stuff. And so that to me was really cool. But the boot camp itself is really the mindset shift. It really is, man. Of kind of going,
Mhm.
okay, shit, there's a different way to do this thing. And it really comes down to, how are we going to rewire our brains to accept the fact that we are living in some amazing times, and that whatever you need to do is already living inside of you. And we just got to tap into that and get things moving. And so kind of a reignition
Mm.
is what it looks like, and for everyone it's different. For everyone,
Yeah.
they take something different away, as it should be, and it's their own personal experience, and it is powerful. So 2020, when COVID hit, we did one session online, which was cool. I think it was, people had some really good feedback, but after that, I dove into, like, okay, cool, I'm going to pause this. And I went into, what the heck are, like, we got into disinfection. We started doing that, and
Yeah.
and
What
like, what have many
reality has
companies, right?
shifted.
Yeah,
We've gotta react. We've gotta deal with what's in front of us. Yeah,
yeah,
and COVID was, man,
yeah. And so
it's
from
like 2 lost years. It's crazy.
yes, that's what it feels like.
But
It,
it's not 2 lost years for you because you guys really capitalized on that. You
we
guys
did,
really you saw it as an opportunity, and you said, "Alright, how we're gonna capitalize."
yeah. And look, speed, my friends,
Speed.
is underrated, man. The more time you spend on the sideline, just kind of going, or the jump rope analogy, right? Like you're gonna jump rope, and the two people are doing the thing. You're like, okay, I'm gonna jump in any second now. You just never do. It's like, okay, man, like whatever. But you have like speed is real, and so if you move on it now, the tricky thing here, Andy, is that because speed is one of the things that you should do and you should act on, it also allows an opportunity to be reckless. And that,
Mm,
my friends, is
mm,
where you need advisors around you to really throw this out and say, here's what I'm thinking, here's what's going on,
mm,
and here's what I want to do. And one of the things that I do is just recently, actually, about 3 months ago, I got my CPA, my attorney, my insurance person um, on the phone, and I said, "Here's the opportunity that I want to do. Tell me why I'm crazy. Tell me why it won't work, and tell me what the
mm,
challenges are." And we spent 45 minutes on the phone, and that was enough for me to say, "Okay, I'm going to kill it."
mm,
And because if we don't do that, then we're like, "I believe in it. I know I'm going to overcome these hurdles." Da 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 da. Yes, you may, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to cost you a lot of time, and you may
mm,
not have the outcome that you're looking for. So having advisors around you to really, vet the idea is good.
mm,
It's interesting because I'm also a believer in the entrepreneur is a unicorn, and so a
mm.
CPA is not a risk taker. An
No,
attorney isn't necessarily a risk taker. An
they got a
insurance
very different perspective.
100%, man. And so you're going to need another entrepreneurial ear there too, right, to help you.
Right. To balance that out. Yeah, you go to a very cautious person with a scary idea, the answer is always gonna be no.
Yep, absolutely. And so
But
you have to
they
make sure
have a
that,
valuable perspective as well.
yeah, they do. They really do. They really do. And so understanding that and knowing, okay, here's the landscape. What am I going to do? And ultimately, as the business owner, you're the decision maker. You make things happen. And I think when we realize that our decisions have consequences on our family, on our employees, it really lends itself to realize that this is a serious decision that
Mhm.
we're making. You know, uh,
Yeah, and if you find yourself, in that low place, in that downward spiral, negative self-talk, world's falling apart, um, it's important to understand that you're not making really great decisions.
mm,
And so maybe, I mean, it's the whole, when you get divorced or a death in the family or something major happens, what's everyone say? Don't make any major fucking decisions.
so true.
Let this play out. Um, because if you get reactive and you start making, the pendulum swung this way, so you're just gonna bat it back and swing it, as hard as you can the other way. You're not making great decisions at that point in your life. So yeah, find those people you can talk to, and so they can kind of dial you back in, and they might agree with you. Yes, this is a great path to go down, but you can't make major decisions, especially when you're down in a bubble. You can't make those in a vacuum. You need to open up your ears and open up your heart to other perspectives, because I've found myself in my life more than once where uh, I was actually self-sabotaging through my
Mm.
decisions. My negative self was so strong and so prominent that I was like, well, just take alcoholism as an example. Has played a big major role in my life. It wants to kill you. So those decisions that you're making are ones that are going to kill you, if you're not careful. So,
Boom.
uh, understand where you are, understand where your heart is and where your mind is, and sometimes the best thing you can do is not make a major decision, not make a decision, and and don't try to change everything, especially when you're low, because at the end of the day, most of us don't have the right tools. And that's
Yes.
where it comes back to the Restoration Mastery Boot Camp was just gave us so many good tools
Yes.
to start making good decisions.
One of the things that I learned is that psychologists, and there's a lot of research behind this, um, they found that when someone goes into a dark place, depression, or this feeling of unworthiness, or wanting to be alone, okay, wanting
Mm,
to isolate, what what that is your body telling you, I want communion with other people. And it's like interesting because when you're going into that place and you want to isolate yourself, you're kind of, we could do one of two things: accept the fact that yes, oh, I want to be isolated, I want to be alone, so I should be more alone. When the reality is, this is an alarm in your body telling you, hey man, let's be with people, let's talk to
mm.
people, let's reach out to people, um, because that's what the body needs. And so it's interesting because when we begin to reach out, and I think this is one of the key things for people that experience this, and we go through this kind of feeling. It's like we have to we have to, number one, acknowledge the fact of what we're going through. Number two, to some degree, there's some level of vulnerability that
Mm.
we have to lean into, and then have the
It's
courage to make
not
the call.
comfortable.
Man, it is uncomfortable. It is
Hmm.
uncomfortable, but the reality is that we, as me and listeners, we've done uncomfortable stuff in the past. We've done it, and this is just another thing that we have to do. Um, but it's really cool because, man, like, if someone reaches out to someone else or to me, I don't ever. I don't go into like, hey, dude, what's going on with you in your life? It's like, hey, let's talk. What's going on? Hey, this is going on. Just the conversation. Just the
Just being there,
conversation.
just holding the
Yeah,
space.
just holding the space. It doesn't have to be therapeutic. It doesn't have to be like
No.
sitting down on a couch and I'm having to talk about my woes. And it's like, hey man, what's going on with you? I'm just thinking about you. What's happening, bro? Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This or that. And those little sparks of conversation can really help us um, understand that we're not alone. Um, as like when you had posted that video, I thought, man, that's good. That's good that you're saying to people. And I thought it was pretty deep. You're saying, hey, I see you, to these restorers that are, deciding to call it quits after
Hmm.
so many years. People that are really struggling, and you're the one saying, I understand you, I see you. And when you said that, I'm like, okay, cool, this is good stuff.
And then you took it full circle and you reached out to me. And that's where it just clicked. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't I didn't say this, but that meant a lot, bro.
that's awesome,
You
man.
you saw what I put out there and you called me with words of encouragement and affirmation.
Yes.
God, it was amazing. I
I
loved
was
it.
like, dude, what you just did, keep doing it. And you probably are like, what I do? Like,
What did I do?
exactly. But I think if we can be more graceful to each other,
Mm, mm.
man, like I wonder how many people we would reach out to if we could just show a little more grace,
Yep,
less arrogance, less pride, and just kind of say, hey man, that was cool, dude, what you did. Or
yep,
hey, I've been thinking, because how many times have we thought about someone, and this goes back to speed, right? Also, we thought about someone like, I'm going to give that person a call. Like, I'm busy today, but tomorrow I'm going to call them, and it never
mm.
happens. Man.
Never
And
happens.
so,
Yeah.
one of the things that I've become more and more committed to in the past years is that when I think of something, or I think of someone, I do it. Just do it. Just
Boom.
do it. Just do it. And just because it pops into your mind, into your psyche for a reason,
Yep.
and you never know what kind of momentum can come of it, or you never know how you can bless that person who's on the other end. I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny. No one else has commented, but Watley has. Um,
Wally, what's up, dog?
so there's a couple yeah, was it 2 years ago? No, I actually think it was this year. Same thing happened, but Watley came into my mind. So it's funny that he's commenting here, and I just sent him a text. I said, "Man, you're killing it. He's doing
He's a badass
amazing things
dude.
this year. He's going so many different directions, but almost every single one of his projects is killing it right now." So I just sent him a text. Says, "Hey, bro, man, you're killing it right now. I'm so proud of you." And he texted me back. He said, "Man, I really needed to hear that today. I don't know why you did this, but I really needed to hear that from you." And I was like, "Well, shit. All right, that's the universe, man.
Love it,
We got to
man.
keep every single good thing in our life. Every single good thing in our life comes on the other side of a really hard decision, or a really tough situation, or an uncomfortable
Mm,
something. Going through that toughness, going through that uncomfortableness, going through the pain sometimes. Everything good is on the other side of that. Everything I think Will Smith did, he was on Oprah once and he said, "Everything good in our life is on the other side of fear. So get beyond that fear." He was talking about skydiving or something like that. But that it applies to, man, I don't have the confidence to reach out to somebody like Mark Walkley. I look up to this guy. Who am I to reach out to him? He doesn't need my encouragement. And we just talk ourselves out of these things.
yes.
Um, but we need to just, yeah, I like that speed analogy. I think I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
If it comes into your mind, it's there for a
Boom.
reason. Act. Act
Act.
with speed. I
Act.
love it.
And look, man, I think if we are more graceful to each other in our community of restorers, and look, you know, some of the people will complain about, oh, the carriers are being this and that. I get it. I get it. I get it. It's a reality of what's happening. We have to find the opportunities of how can we make this work versus,
Mhm.
how can we beat up that carrier or that adjuster doesn't know what they're talking about. We have to go, hey, look, man, there's a different way, and I'm going to find it. And we're going to continue to discover and start digging for what this could look like because the opportunities are there. And for those of you, who rely on, you know, PPC or one referral source, there are many referral
Mhm.
sources out there that can really ignite your business. And it really depends on what environment are you in, and really begin to discover that instead of, you know, poor me. It's like open things up, my friends. This is the time for
Yep.
restorers to really begin to expand their thinking.
And this is just a season. It's
Boom.
this too shall pass.
Yep.
Good and bad, right? There's companies that existed and came into existence during COVID that don't exist anymore because COVID passed, right? There's no this mad panic to disinfect everything in the world. We've collectively regained our senses, and there's no opportunity there anymore. But there was. So these things come and go. We will not be in a hard insurance market forever.
Right.
Uh, but in order to get to the other side of this hard insurance market, we've got to do the work. Because if you don't make it through, well, what's the point? If you don't have a business on the other side of the hard times, um, well, I guess you got to figure out something else to do with your life. But we got to get through this. You got to find a way through it. And you, your advice, OP, of finding that peer group or that support group, even if it's just one other person,
Yeah.
ideally you've got a group of people that you see on a regular basis. Um, that's what's gonna get you through these hard times coming up.
Absolutely. And reaching out, just reaching out
Reaching out.
to a friend, to a colleague, just to have a conversation. That's it.
Mhm.
More community, more connection is going to help us uh, understand. Number one, we're not alone. Number two, holy smokes, there are other opportunities out there. And Andy, I want to share when you say um, this too shall pass. The funny thing is the insurance market is so hard right now. The carriers are charging astronomical amounts of money, and we have. I talked to one customer yesterday. 3 years ago, he was paying $1,500 a year.
Um,
$9,000 a year now. And look, that what does that amount to? 800 and some odd dollars a month,
good Lord.
or close. And for some people, like that's a game changer, man. Like, holy smokes, can I afford to pay another $800 per month? It's
Mhm.
incredible. But the cool thing is that there are other insurance companies making a run at this,
Yes,
because
they
right
are.
now the carriers need more competition. Okay,
Mhm.
it's not there right now. They're naming their price until smart, intelligent, risk-taking people can kind of go, hey man, I'm going to create an insurance company that is going to take on that risk at a lower price, and then they're going to consume market share. And then guess what? Then we go back to like this competitive market, right? Where now,
Right.
like, okay, things
Right.
are changing. So to your point, you're right. Things will change.
Yeah. I mean, look at Lemonade Insurance. We've got an insurance company
Yeah.
with no insurance agents. What's that mean? They're not paying commissions. That means their overhead is much lower as a business, so they can afford to 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 make less margin, or to come in at a lower premium. And Lemonade's not the only agentless insurance company out there.
Right.
It will happen. Or, who knows? This could turn into something federal. The Fed comes in, the government comes in and says, State Farm, you can't do this anymore. We're going to change the rules. It's possible. Um,
Yeah.
when the
It's
government
it's
steps in and starts changing rules, well, that's could change the entire game. Who
yeah.
knows?
Right now, it's Prop 103 that was created back in the 80s that really kind of gives the parameters to the insurance carriers of what they can and cannot do. And it's so old that really the big fight right now, why the carriers are leaving, is they've been trying to force the insurance commissioner here in California to make a change to Prop 103,
Mm,
and he hasn't. But I think that's coming. He needs to allow some more flexibility in this proposition, so that way the carriers can feel more comfortable playing in the sandbox. And so
mm,
it's also a political game here in California, what's
big
taking
time.
place. But the reality is, it's nationwide, man. It's nationwide. Yeah. But we're any all this to say is there is opportunity out there, even in this tough market.
Yep.
We just have to be able to be willing to discover what that could look like for our company.
Yeah. And a lot of times things are so bad, or getting so bad, that maybe there is no such thing as a bad idea. 2012, I found myself unemployed through a series of really bad decisions that I have made. But I had a skill set, and I saw what I saw as an opportunity. So I said, you know what? I'm going to write Xactimate estimates. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to find whoever else in the world needs these things done because I have this skill set. And the people around me at the time said, that's so crazy. You need to go find a real job. No one's going to pay you for this. But guess what? If there's a bright spot in the industry in 2023, it is the emergence of remote Xactimate estimating. I feel like it's
Yes.
everyone and their dog is doing it now, but it's kind of come out as, okay, this is a really smart thing. And I've got a 10-year head start
Yep.
on the industry that is just now emerging. But if I hadn't been willing to go out on a limb and just go do it, I would be working a dead end job right now. I know I would.
Boom.
So,
Frustrated. Yeah.
yep, just frustrated, not going anywhere in my life. Where, yeah, it's been a rough 10 years. I am not living my best, the best life that I had idealized, but I'm on my way, man.
Boom.
So we've got to make it. We've got to make. Um, I think at that point, 2012, it was just doing something. It was I was so lost. I just needed to pick a direction and go. And sometimes that's what we need to do. Just pick a direction and go. And from that time in my life, I came up with this, or I heard this concept of fail fast, fall forward.
Love it.
One of my mentors at the time said, Man, it seems like you just fall. Every time you fail, you fall forward. That's a good thing." And I was like, "Well, it didn't feel like a good thing when I was failing." But he was right. As long as your momentum is carrying you forward, you just keep failing, keep iterating, keep doing things that are uncomfortable and may not make sense, but it feels right at a certain level. Go do it. Figure out how to do it. More importantly, figure out how not to do it, because that's the whole what's the whole light bulb thing. How many iterations did Edison have? 1,000
Yeah,
iterations before he got one thing to work. Well, he
right.
failed 99, 999 times. What if he got discouraged when he failed the first time? Well, shit, I wouldn't have lights or whatever. We've got to have the courage to
Yes.
to pick a direction and go.
Yes.
And the faster you go, the faster you find out whether or not it was a good decision or not. And then you can
100%.
iterate, then you can pivot.
Boom. Boom. And look, Andy, I think in wrapping this up, it's one of those things that right now a lot of the restorers are in a tough spot, and with whatever it is, whether it's employees or whether it's um, keeping them, or how to encourage them, or how to train them, or revenue or profit, uh, or the where the work is coming from. All those things are real, and so we're so used to putting out fires in dealing with the thing that's the hot topic. But as business owners, we really need to take more of, instead of being having the myopic view, we've got to really step back and look at a much bigger picture. And so I would just encourage you guys, allow yourself the space to really stand back and look at
Mm,
your business and look at the components and start to realize where your superpower is. And
mm.
wherever that superpower is there for a reason. And how can you capitalize and how can you create an opportunity around that superpower, and then really start to make some decisions around that.
And not just you. You've got people, right? You've got a team. What are the superpowers of your team? Let's find a way. And we have, as our society has just been so poor at this, we look at what we're doing badly and say, okay, we got to improve. You're getting D's in science. Well, we got to get that up. Well, if you're getting A's in art, uh, concentrate on the what are you naturally, intuitively good at, and
Boom.
capitalize on that. Find that in each person in your team. You'll be very surprised. I think a lot of owners will be very surprised of the latent talents that they have in their house that they weren't aware of because they just
So
weren't
cool.
looking.
Yeah. It's it's interesting for us when we began to really think about our superpowers years and years ago. Uh, I was obsessed, and so was my team, obsessed over customer service, obsessed over making sure that we delivered
Mm,
on the promises, like really obsessed. And so the question became, man, okay, if that's my power, where who's going to pay for it? This is back in 2010, 11, and 12, where people are cashing out like crazy. You know what I mean? And that's what got us to really position to say, okay, high net worth clients will pay for that. And
mhm,
so you may or may not have that opportunity in your industry, in your environment, in your state or your city, but whatever superpower you do have, figure out how you can maximize it and use it. Because, like you said, Andy, it's not just you; it's the people and the culture and the team you created. They have together a superpower, and focusing on
mhm.
that thing versus trying to improve, like you had said, is going to really take you there faster versus struggling to try and make this other thing happen that you're not really good at.
Boom, boom.
Um,
Awesome. All right, OP. I
all right,
appreciate you
brother.
spending the time with me. Uh, all y'all, if you're catching this, we do have the Restoration Rebel Roundtable tonight. It is Wednesday. But let's not, OP, let's not make this the last time we do this. This was good. This was
You got
fun.
it, brother.
And yeah.
And look, I'm gonna say this for other restorers out there that have really good advice in things that you've done. I think reach out to Andy, right? I mean, I think he has a platform that people listen to, and that's why I gravitate to him, man. Like, Andy, you've been able to really like connect with people. Look, my wife met you back in whenever we did the first Rebel group in Colorado, and she's like, sometimes she'd be like, "Hey, babe, how's that Andy guy doing? I remember him." And then I like she knows I'm on with you today. She's like, "Hey, you know what? I hope he's doing good." Like, look, you're memorable, and you're a connector of people, and so I think for other restorers or vendors that really can share some insight and encourage restorers, I would say reach out to Andy and see what we can do collaboratively to really inspire each other to keep this going from the standpoint of making sure that the restorers realize that there's a place and things that they can do to grow their business and think differently.
Yeah, I appreciate your kind words, brother. Man,
Boom.
it means a lot.
You got it.
All right. Go
All right,
get it,
thank you,
man.
Andy.
Let's see you next year.
Okay, man. Peace out.